So essentially what we're doing with the yoga is unlocking the system ready to tap into this sequence. I'm going to work from the ground up, so we're going to start off with the feet, and all these exercises, what we're going to do, are going to bring a greater awareness to your body. So when you start trying to move using the system, or when you're playing golf, as you start to become more aware of the parts that you're moving in a golf swing, you'll start to know where to go in space. So we're going to start off with the feet. So we're going to start to come onto our knees, so all fours, and we're going to keep the toes tucked initially. That's it. So feet and knees and hands shoulder width apart. And we're going to start as we go forwards. We're going to shift the weight forwards as we breathe in, and then as we breathe out, we're going to sit back onto our heels. So we're going to use
my tight quads at the minute.
So we're going to use the breath to connect to this movement. So as you breathe in, you're going to go forwards. So we breathe in as we extend, and then as we breathe out, we go into that softness. So we're using the out breath to soften into those toes. So this can be quite sore for a lot of people, but again, you've just got to be careful. Don't force it. Just build it up slowly, and you'll start to feel a nice stretch through the sole of the feet. And just again bringing that awareness to how the feet move in this pose, but also in your golf swing. So breathe in as you go forwards.
Are you breathing in through your mouth or nose?
So we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose.
Right.
So as we breathe in, we're using the nose to breathe in and out, so we can regulate the amount of air that's coming in. So the breath is always in through the nose, out through the nose. Not easy to start with, but focus breathing in through the nose and then breathing out, and we can regulate the amount of air that's coming in and out. So the breath wants to marry up with the length of movement. So you can see it's a slow breath in, there's a slow breath out. So it's not how fast we do this, it's the smoothness and controlled movement. Okay, so once you've done a few of those, and again, just go steady with it, we're not trying to force it, we can then untuck the toes. So now we're going to stretch the tops of the feet towards the shin, up to the top of the quads. And again, the tops of the feet are in, and we're using that breath again. Breathe in as you go forward, breathe out as you sit back. This is the basic movement, but if you want to go stronger, you can just simply sit back on your heels and place your palms on your quads. That's it.
Quads are so tight.
So we did, as a kid, you did this, sat in front of the telly, you'd sit there for hours and you'd watch telly and no problem. As you get older, obviously, because we're not moving as much as we used to, now everything becomes so stiff and rigid. So just, I always say to people, if you don't use it, you lose it. So people initially will come into this pose and it's strong and it hurts and perhaps a bit sore, but a few minutes every day, you'll feel this will improve massively.
That's what I need to do.
And just this is great here. You could just sit here, close your eyes, focus on your breath, and as you.
What about posture? Would you keep your upper body?
Yeah,
we're
going to try and keep
relax,
that.
or keep yourself.
Try and keep that spine upright, so we're not crunching in. So if we crunch in, we're using that. It's harder to get the breath. So spine is nice and upright. Hands on your thighs. That's it. Keeping the spine out, and then eyes closed, and then we're just trying to soften. Well done.
Grimace.
This can bring you to tears if you're not careful, but just feel the benefit. That's it. And if we start to feel the pain as such, we can just refocus on the breathing, you see. So we can defocus towards the breath, breathing in through the nose, and we'll feel the rib cage expand, shoulders lift, and then use the out breath to soften into the floor. So we're using the floor to
I'm feeling myself just fall.
So we want to drop into that ground. That's it. We can go further with this pose, but at the moment I would say for Marcus, because he's a bit stiff, we'd just leave it there. Good, well done. Okay, some people get a bit of cramp through the toes, and I would just lift the feet up and just circles with the ankles in both directions, because you can get a bit of cramp through the feet there. That's it, just to relieve any tension.
That was really good. Yeah, and that's a stretch I need to do. It's going to help my knees. If you do have knee issues, often tight quads, tight hip flexors, if you've got underactive glutes, what it can do is it can start to really put tension on the knees. It's pulling. And then when you start to use your knees, obviously you're going to get some potential stress through the patella, so you can kind of get patellofemoral issues and things like that, which present themselves as knee issues. Often it's a lot of tension, and therefore your muscles aren't really supporting the mobility of the joint. They're really just adding tension to it when you're moving it. So for me, that's a brilliant stretch. So if you've got a few knee issues, that's a really good one.
Right, good. Next one, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to work through the pelvis now. So we're going to look at hip flexors and rotation of those hip joints. So we're going to lay on your back. Then we're going to bring right ankle onto the left knee. That's it. Good. So we start to already feel that. Is that external rotation?
That's external rotation.
So we start to feel that rotation through there. So again, we can just live here. We can live here and just enjoy this stretch, and again we can focus on the breath. But there's always adaptations to this pose. So we can start to bring the right hand on the right knee, and as we breathe in, we're going to allow the knee to drift in. So breathe in, and then as you breathe out, we're just going to push that knee away. And again, connecting to the breath. So the length of breath determines how slow with this movement, and we want to feel the breath is long and slow rather than short and fast. That's it. And then just going to bring this foot in a bit closer. Hold on. And again, once you start to know where you're going, it's good again to close your eyes, and then you focus in internally, almost visualising that hip opening and closing. And you'll find one side will be easier than the other, but that's only natural. But again, just use the breath to connect to that movement. So breathing in as the knee comes in, breathing out as you push it away. And we're trying to marry up the length of the in-breath with the length of the out-breath. So we want equal in, equal out. Slowly in, slowly out. Hold on. How's that feel?
Yeah, fine.
And it's always good just to notice now when you take that leg out of the pose, how does that feel? Does it feel looser, tighter?
Looser, lighter, straight away.
Good. So we're going to bring left ankle onto right knee. That's it. And just bring that foot close. Good. And again, so once you've got that pose ready with eyes, switch the eyes off, close the eyes, and then use the breath, breathing in as the knee comes in, breathe out as you push away. And just notice whether the left is better than the right, or what do you feel? Is left easier than the right, or the right?
About the same here.
Yeah.
But I know my left hip is tight with abduction and adduction.
Yeah, so I find my left hip's a lot more open than my right, 100%. That's it, breathing in as the knee drifts in, breathing out as you push away. And use the breath to move the body, so we're not holding the breath at all, we're using the breath to tell us when to move. And again, keeping that focus, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. That's it. Hold on. Now we've done the hips, we're going to then just work on now the lumbar. And what we're going to start to do is we're going to bring the right knee into the chest, so left leg can be fully extended out. That's it. Right knee into the chest. And again, just let the head go back. And as we breathe in, we're going to allow the knee. So breathe in, the knee goes away. As you breathe out, we're pulling that knee in. That's it. So by breathing out, you're emptying the belly, giving the space now for that knee to come in. And almost now we're using the ground to massage the lower back. So the lumbar spine is now being massaged. This is a lovely stretch for the lower back. If you get any lower back pain, this is a great one for this exercise. Good. So breathing in as you go away, breathe out as you pull in. And then once we've come in and out a few times, then we can draw circles with that knee now, so we can come into the midline, then out and round. That's it. So we're just really focusing on that rotation of the hip. But also, again, it's a good massage for the lower back, so that lumbar area. And again, try and control the movement with the breath. So it's not fast as you can, it's slowly. There's a tendency is to do it fast as you can, but we want that slow, controlled movement. You can do these exercises for as long as you want, but don't feel you've got to do it for hours and hours. Just, this is, we want a warm-up exercise, so it doesn't want to be for a long time. It can be 2 or 3 minutes before a round or after a round, just in the morning.
This is tighter.
Yeah, so breathing in as you go away, and then you're breathing out through the nose, empty the belly, and then we'll push it right in. That's it. So you can, if somebody wants to help you do it, you can really go deep into that stretch. And then once you've done a few times, you can then go in that circular motion, so in and then out to the left. How does that feel compared to the right
Tighter,
side?
yeah.
So just be aware, the body will have differences, so just be aware of that. But also be aware of when you do it the first time compared to perhaps a week's time. Make a mental note. Does it feel easier? Is it getting worse? Does it feel better? So just keep an eye on these movements, and as you do it more, it will feel freer and easier. Okay, so we're going to come now with we're going to start to feel some separation through the body, but also working through the hips. So we're going to bring knees and feet together. So keeping the feet and knees together, and then we can use the arms now out to the side. Make sure the palms are facing down. So now we can stabilise the upper body. So we're going to feel the shoulder blades are flat on the floor. So we want to get that feeling of the upper body and the lower half separating. So So we're going to use the breath into the centre, and then as you breathe out, we're going to allow the legs to fall to the left. So use the out breath to fall to the left, and then the next breath in we come to the top, then we use the out breath to fall to the right. And when you're doing this, just try and feel the shoulder blades are on the floor. You're breathing into the top. So again, always connecting that breath to the movement, breathing out, and just letting gravity do its job. So the long exhale to allow those knees to fall one side the other. Good. Breathing in. How does that feel?
Yeah, fine. Good.
And we can also, to increase this stretch now, as you breathe in to the top, knees to the centre, as your knees fall to the left, we can look over the right forearm, so we can start to separate now through the neck. That's it. And again, you can always add bits to these movements, but just start slow first. That's it. Well done. Breathing into the top. So we're going to come now, we're going to start to work through the pelvis. So anterior, posterior tilt. So we're going to come onto all fours, hands and knees shoulder width apart. And what we're going to start to focus on is this pelvis area. So as you breathe in, you're going to drop the belly, arch the back, eyes up to the sky, look up. So we're going to feel this nice arching in the back. And then when we breathe out, we're going to tuck the chin round the spine. Feel the opposite. That's it. Lovely. Well done. And then next breath in, we breathe in, look up. So we're really trying to get that full range of the pelvis. So anterior to posterior. That's it. So we're visualising the spine now, rounding of the spine. As we breathe in, we're feeling that arching of the spine. So again, we're bringing awareness to not only the breath, but also how we're moving this pelvis in a golf swing also. Well done. And does one feel easier than the other?
Yeah, for me probably extension.
Yeah. So you will have a preference. Just be mindful of using that breath, breathing in, arching the back.
Feels tighter through my thoracic there.
Yeah, well done, good. And again, using the length of breath to determine how long this movement is. So it's not as fast as you can, slow and controlled. And again, once you're doing the exercise, good to close the eyes so you're focusing internally on the pelvis area, visualising the spine, extending and flexing. So all these movements we'll need in a golf swing can be used in the yoga. Good, that's it. Next pose, we're going to come into lizard pose, so we're going to really work through this hip flexor. So hands shoulder width apart, knees shoulder width apart, but this time when you next breathe in, we're going to breathe in and sweep the left foot on the outside of the left hand. So we can stay here with the right knee dropped, or we can lift the right knee. So this is quite a strong pose for the hips. That's it. Well done. And then what I want you to feel, as you breathe in, you lift the body. As you breathe out, you're trying to drop those hips down to the floor. So using the out breath to soften again.
Say if you haven't got as much mobility as Marcus, is there a lesser version of this?
Yeah, so I would recommend, if you're struggling with this one, just bring the right knee nice and closer to your left foot, look, and then we're not putting so much stress on the hips. So if you're not careful, we can go stronger, but I would again just start small and build it up. So this still has a benefit. And just breathe in there, and then as you start to increase that stretch, we can bring the right knee back, and then you can go into full lizard where we lift the right knee. That's it. So just again, start small and build it up. That's it. How does that feel?
Yeah, fine. I do.
So it's quite a nice, yeah, it's a good stretch. You feel it through that right hip flexor here. Feel that there? Good. Well done. Breathing in and then drop. So we can add some rotation through this. So if you wanted to, from here, you could shift the weight into the right hand, left hand up to the sky, and then back down. So we can use that breath to lift, the out breath to come down. So there's always adaptations with each pose you're going to do. Let's try that. Good. That's it. So breathing in as we extend and rotate, breathe out as we come back down. So always using that breath to move. Breathing in, slow breath in, slow breath out. Breathing in, extend and rotate. Hold on, so one more. Breathe in, rotate. Good, well done. And then we're going to swap over opposite side. The next in breath, right foot comes forward on the outside of the right hand. Does that feel different that side?
Yeah, a bit tighter actually,
okay.
that way.
What's your
Couple
pants?
of trousers.
So I'd probably best way is put some shorts on or joggers on.
Or yoga pants.
Yeah, yoga pants. Yeah,
That's better.
but skinny jeans is probably not ideal. Good. Okay. So again, just find that stability and then connect back to that breath. So sometimes when we're changing the pose, the breath will go. So just breathe in as you come up, breathe out as you go down. Full extension. That's it. And we're really trying to open that rib cage. Look up to the sky, and as you breathe out, you're coming back down. Well done. And notice again which side is better than the other. In, extend. And then come down. Good.
Cool.
Good. Well done.
How'd you feel?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, good. There's a couple of those that I do, but hips. Yeah, for me, I feel very tight, but I've been doing a lot of squats this week. But yeah, feel a lot more mobile. And just to relate that to the golf swing, if we talk about the sequencing, we're looking at essentially 3 major planes of motion. We're looking at horizontal, rotational, and vertical. So to simplify that, if we use a GRF, just to, as Danny mentioned, just to highlight the movement of the body, we've got a side-to-side movement, and we generally use flexion to shift, and we use extension to rotate, and then we use flexion to shift, extension to rotate. So we've got this shifting, this rotating, this vertical, which is allowing us to transfer this torque through the body. So essentially, when we've got the friction of the ground, the rotations and the shifting there that you see in the board and the discs do are essentially you. So you're doing the movement of that board now because the ground's providing the stability. So what it's allowing you to sense now, and you don't need the system to experience this, the exercises are going to help you recognise how you feel before, and I'm going to hit some shots in a minute so I can compare it to how I feel now with my movement, because we've opened up the thoracic, we've opened up the hips, we've mobilised the lower back, we've mobilised the knees and the ankles. So essentially we're freeing up the system to create force and transfer that through the body at high velocity. That's what we're looking for, transferring force with velocity. So mobility is the key. So essentially now mobilise the major segments, i.e. the major joints, to move these big segments to create a lot of momentum, because when you move mass you create momentum. The more joint action we can create, the better we can move the mass, the more momentum we create, the more clubhead speed we can get. So this really is critical for developing clubhead speed. So exploring these movements is absolutely key. Like Danny said, you can adapt it to your own physical capability and then progress it. So this is very much in your hands. So starting off, I mean, reps wise, what would you suggest reps wise? 4 or 5 reps per?
Yeah, so five. If you do 5 breaths per movement, and then you can add to it, and some you will enjoy more, so you do a bit more, some you struggle with, but yeah, start small and build it up, because if you're not careful it becomes overwhelming and it's too long, we get bored of it. So just gently, five breaths per movement, and then you can move on and extend that. Yeah.
So we can start to appreciate then, with the mobility that we're tapping into, how we can use this to move the club. So instead of us physically having to use tension and manipulate it, we can start to focus. And it was really interesting when Danny was talking about breathing and having your eyes closed, how it focuses you on that particular part of the body. So this is really, really good at developing body awareness and a state of calmness to allow movement to happen, because if we're all tense and holding our breath, we're going to restrict joint movement, we're going to inhibit that sequencing. So to allow that sequence to happen, we want to be in the right state. So breathing is super important, being mindful of the body is really important, and this is essentially helping elicit that mindful state and allowing us now to use that shift, inflection and that extension to rotate, to swing the club. So effectively I'm not having to now manipulate this club, because my body can do it, the sequence can do it. And then when we go back to the ground, we can explore that now. I'd suggest still in bare feet or with socks on, just now feeling how you can interact with the ground. Be mindful if you are wearing socks, be on a grippy surface, not on a shiny surface. We want full traction, and using that friction from the ground now for stability, and the body provides the mobility. And we've just been exploring that and expanding upon it. So increasing our ranges and recognising how we can utilise those ranges. So there's a sequence starting to emerge. There's that slingshot that's starting to happen, and that's how we're going to tap into our maximum club head speed. So with two hands we can start to explore how we can initiate the swing now, because we're not starting from a static place, we're actually moving, and then we can start to create a little bit of shift and react to that shift with the swinging of the club. So now, from this what is perceived to be a static place, yes, the club head may be fairly quiet, but there's movement at the handle here, the wrists. We've actually been mobilising the wrists as well by moving backwards and forwards, and by flexing and extending the wrists in the exercises we've been doing. We've been using all our joints, to be fair, so we can start to recognise them and let them move. So allowing ourselves, giving ourselves license to move, and starting to explore that shift, that rotation and that vertical force. So we can start to feel the spring, because we've been exploring these extensions and flexions, which is allowing us to use that vertical displacement, which is really going to help with the low point of your golf swing. Because when you shift and go down, you're moving the low point forward and down, so it's giving you the opportunity to go up and still hit the ground as you're extending. So you can transfer that rotation and get that speed to the club. So I'm just going to put my shoes back on and now hit a few shots and compare this to how it felt before we did the stretching. So I'm just going to hit a few shots, let Danny critique my movement or lack of it. So
yeah, so we've done obviously you've seen us do the warm-up exercises. You're starting to feel more mobile in the joints we've used, and it's just becoming aware of how does it feel, and that tapping into that sequence. So as we start from the ground upwards, we can start to, how does he feel in the feet first? So perhaps, do the feet feel different when he's swinging now?
yeah, I can feel them for starters.
And like we did in the exercises, look at how the feet initially, then we're going to work up through the pelvis area. How does that feel? Does that feel different or the same?
Yeah, just more aware of it. So more aware of my feet, more sensitive to what I'm doing. Definitely more aware of my hips, so I can actually feel myself pushing, how I'm interacting with the ground with my feet, and how my pelvis is reacting to that. So I'm starting to get a sense of a sequence from the ground.
So essentially what we're doing with the yoga is unlocking the system ready to tap into this sequence. Great. So if we've got a system that's locked, it's going to be difficult to sequence the body and transfer the energy through to the club. So now he's gone through those exercises, the body starts to become more reactive to that weight of the club, and you start to transfer that force more efficiently.
What I did notice is that just by doing that exercise with my eyes closed and focusing on my joints when I was stretching, that's given me more awareness now when my eyes are open, and I've got a little bit more kind of proprioceptive awareness of where I am. So I can feel, I can sense where I am in space, therefore I can sense the timing, because I can sense what part of my body is in what space relative to the other parts. So it's like suddenly I can sense that sequence a little bit better, because I can feel it's really enhanced my awareness of where I'm getting quick. So I can then just start to just release that tension and let the club react a little bit. Like that.
Oh,
Superb.
So that felt totally different, wasn't it? That just felt, I could feel where I was putting the tension in.
Yeah.
So I just let that react, that leap of faith we always talk about, by just putting the trust in the sequence. But that's probably because I can feel the sequence better, I think. I mean, that felt totally different, that.
And also what we can do is, when you're hitting shots, maybe recognise where are you feeling tension in the body still, and then you could always go back to that exercise. So that's superb.
that's stunning. 3 in a row.
So he's now loose as a goose.
Also thoracic, so that's an area I know I'm tight. Another area. But yeah, the extensions and flexions. I mean, I do those lizards and in training, warming up, so my rotation's not too bad, but I do know in my golf swing I tend to get stuck in flexion a little bit, so that affects my sequencing. It affects, if you're staying in flexion in your golf swing, you've got to raise your arms. So if I'm not using some extension with my rotation, which is going to naturally swing the arms up, you've got to physically lift the arms. So now I'm applying lots of, excuse me. So now I'm applying a lot of tension through the shoulders, neck, chest, and back to lift the club.
Yeah, we can see on those last two shots how much less effort it looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what we want. That
just loose. Oh, mate.
No tension. That's great.
It's not bad, is it?
I mean,
but you just use those exercises on a daily basis, and you'll start to feel better in your golf swing.
Do you know what you said? Making a mental note of how you feel over the weeks. Would you suggest maybe even writing it down in a notepad?
Yeah. Making a journal is a good idea. So you start off daily. Day one, see how you feel, and initially you're going to feel it's going to be hard work, and then you build it up, and you'll see week by week it'll just get easier and easier. You know, it's how I started with yoga. My number one goal was to be able to touch my toes. That was it, because the kids used to say to me, "Dad, you're stiff as a board," and literally I could get to there, and then week by week I could slowly get down, and that was my goal then. So you just got to set yourself a goal, and then when you see that improvement, there's like, right, this is good now. And then it can only do benefit. That's the thing. So with yoga, you never, unless you go too crazy on it, you're not going to hurt yourself, and you're going to feel a benefit.
There's no obviously age bracket to this or anything. No. Anyone watching, they can all give it a go.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You've got to, just at any age, just get moving. The more you move, it's going to help it. 100%.
You can tell I feel better because I'm bashing ball after ball after ball.
Yeah.
One of it balls. It's like you really
it's like a new man.
You get the buzz back.
So now he looks like he's cracking the whip.
Oh. Now that is going to happen. So don't let that deter you, because you're going to get that nervous system response every now and again, because it's so new. Where I could feel where I went for the pull on the handle, the drag. Suddenly I went for the hit reflex, and it's kind of just using the sequence to remove the hit impulse, that hit reflex. We don't want to be releasing the club early. That's the tension that we're putting into the system to release the club. Body stabilizers to let this go. That creates all the issues. And at the beginning of the session when I was warming up, I was really manipulating it, to be fair. I was trying to let this thing swing freely, but I wasn't experiencing the sequence like I am now. And so with that heightened level of awareness of what I'm doing, I can actually remove that tensioning, because another part of my body is doing its job. If you're not really sequencing, you're not creating the momentum to let this go. But if you're creating the forces, then now that affords you the opportunity to let this go and just trust in the sequence and then commit to the sequence.
Yeah, shot.
Just do one more.
Yeah.
So what feels different now than when you started?
It just feels, now I feel like I'm just so much more mobile through here. That pelvic powerhouse.
Yeah, so it looks more elastic.
Yeah, more elastic, more recoil. You can really feel the feet generating it, but I can feel this just so much later and trusting it.
Oh,
look at that one.
Cool. Distance on that.
So that is cracking the whip.
Not bad for a sandwich.
Right, give us one to finish. Come on, big one.
Oh, a bit clean.
Still.
But good flight. Tried a bit harder, you know, when someone says, go on, go for it. You still put a little bit in, don't you? But you recognise where you're putting that in. Because you've got a heightened sense for this body map that we're exploring, you can feel where you are. It's the proprioception that we're really tapping into. And you're getting real good feedback from your body. You can sense where you are, and you can sense where this is, because this is part of the body. So you're allowing this now to function as part of the body and trail. It's now trailing, but it can do because we've created that sequence, because this man's freed the body up. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that. Danny, thanks
Well done,
mate.
good.
Awesome,
Well done,
as
good.
usual. Guys, if you've not seen Danny yet and you're interested in having a lesson, Danny incorporates this in all the coaching. Danny's part of the team, he's on the booking system. Don't hesitate to go and book in with Danny. You'll experience all this and more. It's a fantastic 3-hour experience. It'll change the game, that's for sure. So go and have a look. Hope you've enjoyed that, guys, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
And you
guys.
can follow Danny right here.